I woke up and I felt like I had no purpose. Like there was nothing I could look forward to. I was really gonna like quit. I wasn't gonna do it anymore. I was gonna find like a stable job or whatever.
I needed that to really light a fire under me. All right, third episode, behind the scenes. Let's get it. All right, so this behind the scenes video, it's gonna be a little different, I'd say. So first off, before anything, I just wanna say thanks for everyone who's been supporting Kids Takeover. Not only the YouTube videos, you know, watching them, commenting on them, but actually going to the Instagram page and being involved in the discussions that we're putting out. I really feel like I'm starting to build a community of people who are watching the videos, and then you guys have been DMing me like, yo, interview this person, interview that person. So if you haven't gotten a chance to follow us on Instagram, go to @KidsTakeoverIG. So everyone who subscribed to me, I just wanna say thank you for that. If you have not subscribed, I would definitely recommend clicking wherever the subscribe button is, because I don't want you guys to miss new videos, you know, new interviews, things like that. So like I said, this video is gonna be a bit different. You guys remember in the Juice WRLD video, I was in New York visiting my brother, right? So like I told you, my oldest brother, he lives in New York. He actually has a job in doing design at Google. Yeah, I know, that's pretty cool, at Google. And at this time, he was actually assigned this role by, I think, his manager or something. They said that he had to give a talk to these university kids. I think they were engineering students. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure, but basically the point of the talk was just to talk about how you don't need to just choose like one straight career path, where instead you could dabble in something, move on to the next, and kind of like experiment different things to kind of find out what you really like. But instead, my brother told me, you know what, I think it would be a good idea if Arshan, you did the talk about the interviews you do, transitioning from high school to university. Because yeah, I do think that my career path is so unpredictable. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do next. Also, he thought it would relate a bit more because I'm younger, I'm around the same age as those students, so it just kind of made a lot of sense. And of course, I agreed. But mind you, at this time, there was no Kids Takeover. This was the planning phase of Kids Takeover. I don't think I even had the name at this point, but I had just finished a couple interviews. My last one was with Murder Beats, and I took a break, and I really wanted to rebrand myself, and I had that media company thing idea in my head. So my thoughts and views on certain things are a little different, but I think this kind of will give you a sense of where I was before Kids Takeover, what fueled me to want to do interviews in the first place, you know, what were my really down moments in high school. But okay, enough of me talking, you know, I'm just gonna let you guys watch the full speech. Thanks to my brother for letting me do this, and I hope you can take something out of it.
Awesome. Okay. How's it going, everyone? My name is Arshan. I am Nahil's brother. I'm 18 years old, so I think same age as you guys, or a year older. Pretty much, I just finished my first year at university, and I'm a journalist from Vancouver. So I want to take this back to 2 years ago, when I was in high school. So back in grade 10, I was kind of going through like a rough period where I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was like kind of freaking out. I was like, what the heck? I'm always like the youngest around everyone, whether it's a family circle or friends, and they are always doing like these crazy things. Like Nahil, my older brother, he's at Google, and I was just like, dang, like, what the heck am I gonna do? Like, you know, I was freaking out. And at the same time, I felt like my friends in high school, they didn't value the same things as me. So if I were to come up to them and ask them like, yo guys, aren't you kind of worried? Like, what are you gonna do after high school? They'd be like, whatever, man, I'll figure it out. So I was like, okay. I was like, alright, that's kind of weird. So when I was speaking to these older people, I felt like they were doing things that are really productive. And when I went back to school, like I said, I talked to my friends about all these things, and they didn't really care. So what I did was I like distanced myself from them, and I kind of didn't have many friends at that time, but I did this thing where I started my own podcast, and it was called Convos with Arshan. And like, yeah, it sounds kind of lame, but like I was like 16 at the time, so to cut me some slack. So what I did was like I talked to people, I interviewed them that had careers that interested me. So you know, that way I think I would like get a better insight of what I would want to do. So I would ask like, hey, what did you do in high school? How did you find out that you wanted to be a real estate agent? Blah blah blah. I actually remember this one episode where I Skyped this producer from Complex. You guys know what Complex is, right? So I Skyped her and she was going on about, you know, like I gotta be in the same room as YG when we're doing this video and all these hip hop artists. And I was like, whoa, I was like, that is the coolest thing. Like I pretty much wanted to build like an essential goal around that and have that be a part of my life too. So what I did was, I got the sense, so after my podcast, I did like, I don't know, like 20 episodes or so. I did one every single week, and when I would get to school, like, I don't think people would really rock with it, because when I would mention it, they'd kind of look at me weirdly, and cool story, I was sitting at this table at lunch, and the table next to me was like, kind of making fun of it, and like, to be honest, it hurt me at the moment, but I was like, you know what, am I just gonna like let that hurt me and stop doing what I do? I was like, heck no, I didn't do that. So yeah, I continued to pull off an episode every single week, and I did enjoy audio. Like what I did was I would just get my mom's laptop and then buy like a cheap microphone from Walmart, and it was cool. I liked the audio part of it, but I just felt like, I don't know, there's like a bit of creativity in me being held back. Like I could definitely do more. So I started this thing where I would go on YouTube and search up tutorials of motion graphics. And then I would get these hip hop stories like, that's like supposed to be like Quavo or whatever. But like, or like Takeoff. And I was like talking about, why do people not like Takeoff and the Migos or whatever. And I had these little motion graphics behind them. And that was cool. Like, I thought that was awesome, but I kept telling myself, even that wasn't enough. Like, I was capable of more. There was just something else that I needed to find that I was interested in. So I took a few months break to think, and I did things like I did my favorite hobbies. Like I watched basketball. I'm big into basketball. I played basketball. I listened to music, and I would be on YouTube like the entire day. I would watch things like The Breakfast Club, Hot 97, you know, and I'd watch a lot of on-air talent. So I would watch ESPN like Stephen A. Smith, Charlemagne the God, and I would be like, dang, like these guys are so cool. I don't want to just be the top comment on the YouTube video. I want to be the person that speaks on all these artists. So what I did was I devoted one entire day, and I would like mass send these emails and be like, hey, I have this interview thing, and I just really want to interview your artist when he comes to Vancouver. And like, guys, I was going at it. Like I'm talking basketball players, rappers, actors, any like influential figure. I was getting at their management, and like you guys can even see, like, come on, there's like Seth Rogen, YG, Tory Lanez was a designer. Anyways, like yeah, I got 0 emails back, like not even one. And about a month passed with no replies. I was like, dang, what am I gonna do? But randomly, I was like in my bed and I heard the notification. And I'm like, okay, this better not be like a Pizza Hut like coupon or whatever. I was like, heck no. So I checked, and it was actually this dude named Avery Bradley. I'm not sure if you guys know who that is. He played for the Boston Celtics with Isaiah Thomas. Yeah, I know you got some basketball fans there, so you guys know. And I had emailed him before asking about to interview him when he comes to Vancouver for his like basketball camp. So he actually replied by himself, and he was like, I'd love to do one. You can come to the camp and we can discuss the interview over there. And I was just like mind blown, like what the heck? It was just 6 words that completely like changed my life. And yeah, so I didn't know many people in the creative scene at the time. So I found like these 2 dudes that I used to play basketball with. I'm like, guys, like you guys know Avery Bradley, like come on, you guys can help me with this interview, right? And they weren't doing anything that day, so I was like, you guys are coming with me. But I told my dad, and my dad's like, what are you doing? What is this interview thing? And like, he didn't really get it. Maybe it's because like he just watches cricket and no basketball. But I talked to him, I told him like, Dad, just give me a shot. Like, just drive me 1 hour, because I didn't have my license. I was like, just drive me 1 hour to West Vancouver. That's where his camp is. And like, I swear like it'll be worth it. And like, it's my dad, so you know, he listened to me. He was like, yeah, I'll do it. And basically, so me and my 2 friends, we showed up at the camp. And out of nowhere, like we see Avery pop out. And at this time, like I haven't met a celebrity, so I was like, bro, I was like fangirling him. So we jumped right into the interview. Like he was so positive, and it was like halfway into the interview where I just realized like, yo, Avery Bradley's in front of me. This is the dude who hit like the game winner against the Cavaliers in Game 3. I'm like, I used to watch that stuff. So it was unreal because I got to ask questions about someone who I would literally like watch on TV every day. You know, this guy played with Isaiah Thomas. I got to ask him about Isaiah Thomas. I was like, so what's your relationship like? Because he's getting traded, whatever. And I'm just like, I'm getting the inside scoop. Like, bro, I feel like Stephen A. Smith. I feel like the dudes that I watch, you know? And it was just crazy because I felt like there was this passion that just was in the sky and randomly just struck down on me, and I just felt so blessed, right? So basically after that interview, I used that one as like my work sample, right? So instead of emailing Seth Rogen or like his people and just saying, hey, I'm gonna do an interview, I was like, yo, Seth Rogen, let's do an interview, but here's my other interview with Avery Bradley, you know? So I felt like I had so many things under my belt, you know? I felt so cool. I'd say my chances of getting another interview went from like a 1 to like a 3 or like a 4, you know? But to me that was big, you know? So one day I was listening to, do you guys know who ACam Mob is? Right? Yeah, I'm sure you guys know. So I was listening to their album called like Cozy Tapes 2, and I heard this like dude on it. His name was Smooky Margielaa. He had like this really cool auto-tune sound, and I was like, yo, this guy must be young or whatever, right? So I searched him up, and the dude's like 15 years old. He looks way younger than me. 15 years old. So what I did was I found out that he was coming to Vancouver in like a couple months, right? So basically I hit up his management. I'm like, yo guys, like here's my vision. I really want to do the interview with Smooky. He was so good on the album, and again, like here's my work, right? He's my interview. And then surprisingly, I got the notification back like a couple days after. And dude, when I saw that, I was like so hyped. I went to my brother's room, I put on the album, we're just like jumping up and down, like ASAP Rocky and stuff, we're like, oh, let's get it, you know? So I had a feeling that doing this interview would like actually blow up, because dude, this guy is at like the prime of his career right now. And basically, I didn't want two random like people to film this that don't know anything about film, right? So I was like, I gotta step up my production, I gotta find a cool location, and I pretty much like went running around Vancouver store to store. I'm like a shoe store or like a clothing store, and I'm like, hey, there's this rapper coming here, and like I want to interview him. And some of them looked at me like I was crazy, right? But luckily, there was this one shoe store named Plus, and they have like a lot of hip hop posters and like T-shirts. So I'm like, hey, can we interview Smooky here? And they're so nice that they actually shut down the whole store to let me do the interview there. So that was awesome. And so that was a location, right? But there's also like a filmer. I couldn't get two random people, so I put an ad up on Craigslist, and I was like, hey, I'm this journalist from Vancouver, and I need someone to film my interview with a famous rapper. And then I didn't get like many replies, and like if I did, some of them would be charging me like $500. And like I had like 50 in my bank account. So basically I got this one email back, and it was from this dude named Sam. And boy, like Sam already got the job just because he emailed me back and said he'd do it for free. But let me tell you this, Sam, he was like, hey, I've done work with Seth Rogen, Party Next Door. And I'm like, what the heck, like, you already got the job, bro. At the end, he's like, I also filmed for Nardwar. Do you guys know who Nardwar is? So he's like, in my opinion, the best interviewer ever. Like, he's from Vancouver. He's been doing it for 30, 40 years. And pretty much, Sam was saying that he saw potential in me as a kid. And I was like, Nardwar's videographer like wants to work with me, like, let's do it. So basically, we did the interview, and not only did it feel good getting recognized from people like Sam saying like, hey man, yeah, I really see potential in you, but once I posted the interview, like people were just across the world were like, oh my god, like you're so young, how'd you do this, dude? Like Smooky Margielaa is so big. And what's funny is the same people that were at the table at lunchtime making fun of me, they're the ones commenting like fire emojis under the video. I even got reposted on this page called Our Generation Music Co. It's like really big on Instagram. I actually follow them for all my news, and I like kid you not, when I looked in the mirror and I saw that they reposted my thing, I was the happiest person like ever. Of course, there's like these big highs and there's obviously like lows. I started to realize that I could turn these interviews into like a bigger channel with consistent content, but these interviews weren't happening like every week. They were happening like every month, right? So like, who wants to go on a channel and watch an interview like monthly, you know? To me, it feels like a decade. So I was like kind of worried about that. And what happened was I got a bunch of other interviews, and I would wait a month for them, and then they'd get canceled. So I'm like, shoot, like that, there was another month of no content, right? So basically, there's an example. There's this person named, you guys know what Dreamville is? J. Cole runs Dreamville. There's this person named JID, and he was coming to Vancouver. So basically, I have a mutual friend through the music industry, and he knows his manager. So I was like, dude, you gotta like hook me up with his manager. Like, I want to interview JID, right? So basically, at that time, all my friends were asking me like, yo, let's go to this JID concert. But I was like, I don't want to go to the concert. Like, I want to interview the dude. I want to meet the dude. So I hit up the manager, and I was like, here's the work, you know? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So he said the interview would happen the day of the concert, and basically the day arrived, and he's like, it's canceled, it's not happening anymore. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I was so prepared, I did everything I could, but I couldn't just leave it at that. I pretty much did everything I could to turn that into a positive. And basically, I was like, hey man, like, we were supposed to do this, like, is there any way we could still try? And he was like, honestly, like, JID's tired, it's the last stop of the tour, but you guys can come to the venue and come chill with us backstage after the show. So what I did was, I did that, and I just tried to network as much as I could, and I basically got the manager to hook me up with this dude named Cause, who was also on Dreamville. Cause was set to come to Vancouver in a couple months, so I tried booking other artists in the meanwhile. I tried as hard as I could, but you know, like, things happen, things get canceled. I had to wait a few hours on set for some of them. Sometimes I would show up, I would meet the person, and they'd tell me like, yo, this is not happening. And I'm like, shoot, like, that sucks, right? So I asked myself, like, was this really worth it? Was it worth all the bad attitudes from people treating me wrong, me researching so many questions, and then last minute, like, it doesn't even happen. But I was really gonna like quit. I wasn't gonna do it anymore. I was gonna find like a stable job or whatever, you know? But I was thinking, like, I'm 18 years old. If I wasn't doing this interview thing, like, what would I be doing? I'd go home and play video games or do schoolwork or whatever, right? So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep doing it. So I maintained that positive attitude, and I kept that in the back of my mind that things were gonna go wrong and like nothing was perfect. And look, that month I pulled off an interview with Cause at this ice cream store. I did it with Zayto, and like, dude, this guy's like a legend in Atlanta. And the fact that I got to interview him, it's like, I had such a big boost in confidence. There's also, just last month, I pulled off 2 interviews with Murder Beats. You guys know Murder Beats, right? On Drake, on Travis Scott's music. These were huge for me because, like, as a kid who was just doubting himself and wanted to leave the hobby behind, it turned into things like this. It had literally been less than a year where I talked to that girl who worked at Complex, who was in the same room as these people, but now I'm interviewing these people, and it just like felt like such a big turn. What I'm doing now is I'm focusing on rebranding into like a larger media outlet, something that I've always wanted to do and have a lot of learning to still do about. But I want to incorporate a few video series ranging from interviews, behind the scenes, and you know, just a bunch of cool ideas while still finishing my degree at school. It's still a challenge for me because now I have to worry about the business things, but now I can wake up and I can look forward to learning about how to use hashtags, how to learn when to post. But like 1 year ago, like I woke up and I felt like I had no purpose. Like there was nothing I could look forward to. And basically I'm just blessed that I took the chance in high school to just take one step further and like do that little Convos with Arshan podcast, because now I really turned into all of this. And thank you. That's pretty much it.
Okay, there you go. It's finally done. So I think a big point of this, a large section of it, was about me talking about my down days in high school, and honestly, I think I really needed that. And what I would call that is disaster. I'm just so happy that I went through it. I'm not even kidding. You guys are probably thinking like, Arshan, why would you want to go through disaster? And I'd say at such a young age, it's kind of hard to find motivation. And I think, you know, having that disaster where I didn't have the right friend group, I didn't really feel like I was amounting to anything, I wasn't doing anything with my life. I needed that to really light a fire under me, and that's when I started experimenting with, you know, motion graphics, these little talking videos about hip hop and whatnot. I think everybody likes a feeling of coming back from something, like Meek Mill, you know, no, but really, no, but I definitely like the feeling of coming back from a disaster. Like that's why I listen to so much Meek Mill now. That's why my favorite player is Derrick Rose, because I like, you know, I like the idea of coming back from adversity. Like I said, I think you really need some sort of disaster to light a fire under you, and that's going to make you want to try new things and just really push yourself and not care what anybody around you thinks. And so with that being said, I know a lot of my viewers of Kids Takeover, they're in high school probably. Not that you should obviously like listen to exactly what I'm saying, go experiment and go do your own things, but I would say have fun in high school. At that time you have nothing to stress about, just homework maybe. You're not paying for school, you're not paying for loans and all that stuff, so I definitely enjoy it. But at the same time, everything that you think is cool in high school at the time, as soon as the graduation ceremony ends, none of those things are cool anymore. It doesn't matter at all. So please, if you want to start dabbling around with different hobbies, I recommend do it and hang out with people who understand those hobbies and aren't gonna kind of question it. But man, after the event, it was so cool. I had some kids come up to me and they were just talking about, dude, no way, how did you interview Murder Beats? That's like my favorite producer. How did you sit down with JID, man? I love Dreamville. And it made me want to do one thing. Of course I wanted to be like thank you and whatnot, but I just wanted to go straight home and actually start like finishing the stuff for KTO that I planned. Like that motivated me so hard. So if any of those kids are watching, I think they followed me on Instagram after, but yeah, thanks. I really appreciated your kind words, and I'm glad that my speech touched you. I remember as I was leaving, there was another guest speaker who had to speak, and this girl that was watching my talk, she like wrote down a phone number on a sticky note and she gave it to me. I was like, are you giving me your number? But it turned out that the number was like of her cousins, and she said that she'd like me to interview her. So that was also a cool feeling. I'm sorry, I think I lost the sticky note at the airport or something. There's nothing better than talking to people the same age as you who are like curious about what you do. It's every creative knows like that's the best feeling you can get. Well, that and getting paid. Again, let me know what you guys thought of the speech. If you didn't like it, if some parts really inspired you, I would love to know in the comments. And anyways, I'm Arshan from Kids Takeover, and this is the 3rd episode, I believe. Yeah, you guys are watching behind the scenes.
Yo, sorry if the audio was a little off. We actually shot that on an iPhone, but otherwise, remember to like and comment on the video, comment your opinions. We're doing a really cool giveaway soon on our Instagram at Kids Takeover IG, so be sure to follow that. Otherwise, obviously subscribe to the channel. I want you guys to get notified for these videos, and watch the last one we did. It was a one-on-one with Trill Sammy.